Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Mr. Panozzo, how are you, buddy?
Yo. I'm good.
Doing all right? Hold on. Don't tell me it's fucking crackling again, Mike. Start talking to me a little bit. Let's see. Let's hear you.
Well, I don't.
Try refreshing, Mike. Get out of here and get back in.
Okay.
Don't start with this shit already. It's too early in the day. Molina Mike here, along with Mr. Hall of Fame Billiards Digest himself, Michael Panozzo. We're going to be talking International Open and the day that was day whatever 3, 4, however many days it was. Today is the last day of the 9-ball. Big shout out to all of our sponsors who are helping us out throughout the next 2 months or so. We got Q-Tech, my man Dr. V's shop, Q and Case, and of course Michelle Griffin. So Mike, let's hear you, buddy. Hopefully no crackle in here.
Yeah, we'll see how long this runs.
All right. Well, so far so good. So yeah, we're going to be doing a really quick show. So really short intervals. Let us know in the chat if you guys can hear us and see us all right. I'm excited for this show because it was a fun day of sweat and pool yesterday. What was, you know what, Mike? I got to be honest with you. I'm going to start off giving you a little bit of shit because I'm sweating some matches online. And I was watching a few of them. And one of us has to do like work around here. You know what I mean? And so you're out at the event. And then I go on Facebook and I see a Facebook post, and my man, while the best match in town is going on, my man's at the cocktail bar, posting updates as far as what Brad the mixologist just poured him.
I have a mental health routine, right? And so I go to an event. I worked my butt off yesterday during the day, captured a bunch of interviews, talked to a bunch of people, and every once in a while I just have to, dip out for just a little bit, an hour or two, and just go decompress someplace where I don't know anybody, they don't know me, and I don't have to talk about pool, and I can just sit there and relax. And so I went someplace that was all tricked out for Christmas, and they had cool Christmas drinks and these wild little unicorn Christmas mugs and
I can taste the peppermint as you say that, Mike.
And so I dipped out for a little bit and just did a little unwind, and then came back. Caught the end of a couple of matches, caught the end of the Yap match. It was, I didn't see every shot, but there were some good matches. I did see plenty of action, that's for sure.
Some really good shots, no doubt about it. We're going to jump into who's all left and what happened yesterday here in a few minutes. But, Mike, I can feel that wanting to disconnect in my soul because I don't know how many times I go to an event. And, when we do the show, I'm very much in this bubble where it's just me and you. Obviously, we got the chat and everyone who hangs out with us, and we appreciate all you guys. But it doesn't really click for me until we go out to an event. Like when I go to the Derby or the U.S. Open or whatever, that's when it finally hits home that people actually tune in every now and then to hang out with us. But sometimes, especially at the end of the day, I just want to disconnect. You know what I mean? I want to.
You know what? You need a break. You got to do it. I mean, people understand. They want their news, but listen, they understand.
Yeah.
You got to check out every once in a while and just kind of, exhale. So I'm a big exhaler.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're gonna jump into Neil's and all the stories from yesterday here in a few moments. But Mike, first of all, the name of the show is pretty fitting today because me and you had a bet yesterday. Who would win the event?
How did we do?
The experts here, Mike, didn't do so well because all of our horses are out with 4 left. If you were to tell me we have 6 out of 16 and we're not going to have any horses left in the final 4, I would think that you're crazy because we had all the heavy favorites per se.
That's what makes this such a great Final Four. I mean, this is a fun Final Four. A lot of fans.
It's very UK Open like, Mike, in a sense.
A lot of fans especially ones who come to events like this. They want to see Filler and Shaw and Jace and Shane and Federer. Yep. But you look at these guys here, and it's there's great stories up and down the whole thing. I mean, you got Moritz and Pius. They're going to be playing each other. One of them's going to be in their first major final. Well,
Hold on,
PS
Mike. Is the International Open a final? I mean, a major? Are we? Has it been dubbed by Sir Pinozo here?
significant event final.
Yeah,
And
it might be a big deal.
yeah, one of them could win their first, significant title. And then on the other side, you got the defending champion who spends all his time complaining that he's not confident and not playing well, and the living legend who just, has seemed to have gotten better or at least more consistent in the last 18 months than we've seen him in the last 3 or 4 years, in Niels. I mean, he's had a pretty solid year this year.
Very like under the radar. And last night, and we're gonna jump into the matches from the beginning here in just a second. But last night, on the topic of Niels, like I was going through some photos and trying to find a thing because I thought it was cool. The guy beats Federer, and then he beats Shaw, and then he beats Filler. And then I remember, wait a minute, he had a deep run in the U.S. Open, and so I go back online and I'm kind of looking. I'm like, oh, he was in the semifinals
Yeah,
of the U.S. Open. And like we think about Niels in the sense of like we talk Moscone Cup year round, right? And there's been plenty of conversation, should Niels be a captain? And we said, well, he still wants to compete, but
yeah.
realistically, we talked about what are his chances as far as being able to compete with these monsters who are in their early 20s as far as the depth of the European field. And here he is, Mr. Consistency, Mr. Content Creator, doing so many things all at once, being doing his YouTube, but still like playing at a high level. And we didn't get to see him in Hanoi. At least I don't remember him being in Hanoi if he was. But it's like here he is over the last 9 months for me, Mike, where the guy is still hanging around and creeping on the fringe of that like European top five. And it's just a great story, but it kind of at the end of the year culminates here with beating some pretty solid guys at the International Open, Mike.
Well, that's the thing. He's not getting any free passes into the late stages of
No.
tournaments, and Niels, as he's shown, he's got the game, he's got the mental fortitude for sure, and so it's just it's great to see. It's a lot of fun to watch. He's a great player, and he's been through all this, so he can go through a match with Federer, he can go through a follow-up match with Filler, and not flinch, which is pretty amazing stuff.
Well, there might have been a little flinching there, Mike, because he gave away a lead there. And I know it's kind of tough. Like it's easier with alternate break to give up a lead because really one
Yeah,
mistake can cost you. Like it can really be a 3-game
yeah.
swing. You know what I mean? With this format. And that's what the little bit that I've seen that tends to be the case, especially when you're facing a guy like Filler. But it's like once you face the adversity of giving it up, right? And then you're not just giving it up to no disrespect, but like to these middle of the pack guys, like these are a number one talent guys, Federer, Filler. These are closers. These are guys who, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile and they're going to punish you. And Niels, to his credit, even giving up the lead to a Filler for me in that match, it was great to be able to see him close out in a real tough rack. Like he had to come with some
Oh,
really difficult outs, you know what I mean, and
close
touchy
out.
shots,
Yeah, he closed out with a couple of amazing shots, and yeah, he's. But that Niels, he knows he can do this stuff. He's done it before, so he wasn't pulling stuff out of his butt. So yeah, it's great to see. Good to see him.
I remember the last time seeing Niels in a Moscone Cup, Mike. It wasn't the prettiest of sights, and I know the guy's been decorated, and I mean he's obviously a Hall of Famer, but he's had a lot of Moscone Cup, like just been the epitome of consistent and been reliable, been an MVP multiple times. But like I said, he didn't do so well the last time we saw him on that stage. But do you think that, given his run with the last 3 months, that next year he can make a serious run and make that team, Mike?
Making the team, I don't know. He'd have to be out there at all the events again to be able to keep up with points wise, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know that he's willing to do that because he's got these family commitments that he wants to.
I love that about him, Mike. I mean, I got girls. I love how much he prioritizes.
So
And
yeah, so he's almost like a part-time player from the pro standpoint, but he certainly has the talent. As far as Moscone Cup, that's a big ask because you're looking to. He's got to finish top three, right? He's got to get that automatic spot because I think
Does he though, Mike?
I,
That's Neil's fine still.
his days of being the first wild card pick are kind of, that's a little bit of a reach to me. He has that history. He was like Jason before. He was Albin before Albin as far as being Mr.
It's
Dependable.
a good comparison, yeah.
But then, like you said, last time we saw him, he was starting to get a little bit older and you know wasn't quite as sharp as he had been, and so he kind of lost that automatic wild card spot to Albin, who then he jumped into that breach. So I don't know. It'd be tough for him to make Moscone to me.
Look, we love stories, and nothing would be greater. Obviously the team's already assembled and whatever, but like that's such a cool thing, especially given his age, his history. I remember talking with him, and whenever we were at the U.S. Open, he was telling me, you know what, I wasn't even going to come over here. I had to get permission from the bosses, and that was his wife and his girls, and they gave him the green light, and it was very kind of like last minute and spur of the moment. And then he showed up and he made a Final Four appearance in the U.S. Open, which was awesome. Lost to Federer, who ended up being the eventual champion, so no shame in that regard. But it was such a cool story. Look, Niels has kind of been through uh, like everything you can within this sport. He's a world champion. He's been an MVP. He's so decorated. He's been a world pool master champion as well. And that story, whenever he came back from injury, was awesome a few years ago. But it's like we see these guys who are, in their, twilight of their career, so to speak, like maybe a David who's in his mid 40s where, he's still showing that there's still some gas left in this tank. And, you better give him some respect and put it on his name, man, because he can still beat these young guys. And listen, when you beat three, like, the reality is him beating, I think it was Jason, Federer, and Filler. Those would be the first three picks for the European team. And I know Federer's like American now, but like, those are three really big names in a tournament, Mike. And he's showing that he can be pretty consistent. Big congratulations to Niels. I got nothing but respect for him. And he's the epitome of what a professional is, Mike.
Yeah, no, he is. And so he's a great, and it's just like I said, there's four great, whoever wins this is going to be a great story.
So
Moritz taking Carlo out. Played great against George.
Look, those are great, Mike. But the real important thing of today is who owes who dinner over here. Do I owe you a dinner now? Is since yesterday?
Okay.
Or do I get out? Do we get out on the technicality that nobody actually won, so it's a push?
Was it not a last longer?
I don't know. We got to go back and rewind the tape. Maybe the chat can let us know if it was a last longer or an outright winner. I'm good with getting out in a loophole because my horse didn't do so good as did Mike's. But let's jump into the final 16 here, you guys. You guys can check out digitalpool.com and check out some of the results. I think matches kick off today, Mike. What time? 2:30 Central Time?
I think 3:30 Central Time.
Raymond says it was a push. So bet the final four. Well, we got to do that then. I like Raymond's style for sure. All right, Mike. Pius takes out Francisco 10-7. Victor, we were both rooting for him. 10-8 over David. The Spanish duo goes out in the round of 16. Moritz Hill over Kazakis. Kazakis is playing strong lately, Mike, and he's kind of been under the radar as well.
From him.
Yeah, Carlo Beato wins 10-4 over Tyler Steyer, ruining the hopes of the American fans. 10-8 loss to Levan. Georgie takes him out. Mike, what's up with this kid, Georgie? I know he's from Bulgaria. He kind of sneaks up on tournaments, but is he like the next Mickey Krause for next year, Mike?
Might be. I talked to him yesterday after he lost to Yap, and he just, he said it's all about experience. We hear this all the time, but you could see it in his face that he was believing. He says it was just all about experience and confidence. He says, I've got game. I know I've got game. And so he said, I've just been in there more. I was over in the U.S. for a long time. I played in a lot of matches, a lot of tournaments, played a lot of great players along the way. And he's just building confidence and belief in himself. He's 29, so he's still got a ton of upside. And he's a good kid, and you can just tell it's just a matter of him having that belief in himself and confidence that he can get in here. And so he said next year he's going to try to be at as many WNT events as he can because he said I played in Hanoi, so I'm not going to any WPA events.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's ready to give it a swing.
I like that, Mike, and he's showing form, which is
Yeah.
not easy to do, especially like as these events only get deeper and thicker when it comes to a talent standpoint. And you start.
He was down 7-0 against Yap, and made it. He had a chance to tie it up 8-8, and he made some great shots. He just got a little too far behind, a couple misses early on, but he's a really good player.
Speaking of Yap, he takes out Little Kachi 10-8. Filler takes out my man Max Hill. Man, that was a heartbreaking match for me, Mike. And I know
Yeah.
I kind of hedged a little bit, taking Cledio at the end over Max in my last longer, but Max was up. I think it was like 9-5 or something. Maybe it was 8-5.
8-5, and then I think 9-6 or 9-7, and really didn't get. Josh kept beating him to the shot on little safety plays,
Right.
outs, kicks, whatever. And then Max took that flyer on the 2 at the end where he tried to pocket it instead of ducking, and which he may as well go for it because he was not winning the duck battle with Josh. So so yeah, it was a tough one to watch him lose. He looked really good.
Let us know in the chat if you guys think that Georgie's got a chance. How about this? Maybe a Georgie versus Claudio. Who do you think's going to make a Moscone Cup first? If you were to go and throw a little bit of money on it when it comes to young guys on the fringe, Mike, what are your thoughts on that? If you were to have a choice between the two,
I haven't seen Georgie enough to really bank on that. That Claudio's got he's got the lineage and he's got the snooker background, and he's got the temperament.
He's also got 10 years on him, from what I just found out, Mike. So
yeah, so yeah, Claudio's he's a lot of upside to him, but he's another guy. It's like, okay, how, based on what we know about his brother, how devoted and how much out there is he going to get? So
that's an interesting choice of words there, Mike. Devoted.
Well, no, I mean that's always been the knock on Kachi, right?
Yeah, I think it's
So,
I think it's fair. I mean, look, we don't know what goes on in Albania as far as what his training is like, but
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll see.
Look, I love the kid to show a little bit more personality, right? Energy, if you will, Mike. I know that's the word of the last month or so. But I just think that, like, given his game, if you were to pair that with just being a little bit more outgoing, and I know it's not like, if you were to see the kid in a crowd, you'd be able to notice him because the kid's like 8 feet tall, first of all. But
Yeah.
like from a personality standpoint, like you wouldn't know that he's, a top 20 player. You know what I mean? Like he's very reserved, kind of like Kachi, just real quiet. And so from that standpoint, it's I'm just curious to see what the next year is going to be like for that kid.
Yeah.
He played in Hanoi as well. Mike, it looks like you got to dip out of here in just a little bit, so we're going to kind of browse through these, or maybe I can kind of run through at the end here.
Right.
Ray, if you're around, maybe you can hop in, shoot me a text, and I'll send you the link. If I don't know if you got availability, Ray, but if you are, and if you're watching right now, let me know, and I'll send you a link here. Hang on one second, Mike. All right, PS takes out Victor 10-3, Moritz 10-5 over Carlo. Mike, what do you make about the kid taking out the multiple world champion?
Yeah, he looked great. I mean, Moritz is another guy who, mentally he's really tough. His game is great, and he's just getting more experience and more confidence. And he didn't flinch about having to play Carlo in that situation, and pretty much ran him over. So he's I saw him this morning. He didn't look nervous, didn't look whatever. He's just bouncing around. So he's another kid with a lot of great years ahead of him. It'd be tough for Cledio or Georgie to find a Moscone Cup spot in the next few years with Moritz, leading the pace.
That's a good point. We certainly should have kept him in that mix when it comes to that trio, Mike, because he's also very young and shows a bright future. Ray's gonna hop in, so I'm gonna send him the link here in just a minute, Mike. But real quick, do you think Moritz can do it, given the fact that he doesn't have the mustache going for him, Mike? Because that's really been the key to his success
There
over
was,
the last 12 months, Mike.
yeah, well, he's got a shot because him against Pius, he's probably his, if you're looking of the final four, who would Morris probably have, his best shot against between Yap and Niels and Pius? He'd probably take Pius. So I think he's got a good shot, even money shot for sure to reach the final match, and then all bets are off at that point.
Well, it's going to be great to see that matchup between him and um, uh, Pius for sure. Two young Europeans with a lot of talent, a bright future. Mike, I just sent Ray the link. I know you got to dip out because evidently you didn't get the late checkout out there in Florida.
I did get the late checkout. They told me one was it. So
What? I don't understand this, Mike. You're out there in Florida. You're going back home to the snow, and then you're going to go back to Florida here in a few more days.
Yeah, that's the way I roll.
All right, we're gonna send Mike on out of here, and Ray is gonna hop in here. Mike, it's always great to see you. We'll chat over the weekend and recap if you're available, buddy.
Will do.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, throw in Moritz into that mix. Let's see. Gary says PS over Moritz bet. Okay, Moritz just turned 21 last week. Look, I like the kid Moritz. We saw him show a lot of form last year, which was awesome. I know he didn't play in Hanoi last minute. I know he was out there, but yeah, I'm curious to see how today's going to go and how it'll kind of get him going for next year. Let me see. I don't know. I can't say we're upgrading, but we're certainly at least going neutral here. Ray's got a lot of feedback right now. He's still got the show on. How are you, Raymond? You doing all right, man?
1 second, bro. Let me.
I don't know. I can't say we're up.
I had you up on the TV, so it was...
That sound of my voice is like giving me cringe, man. You know what I mean? I can't
Sorry.
fade it. No, you're good. You're good. How are you, Ray?
Doing good, man. I'm about to get ready to go to the gym myself and start cranking.
What's on the menu? Is it cardio? Is it upper body, lower body? What are we doing?
Today I'm focusing on upper body and lifting extremely heavy.
Really? So low reps, but heavy weight?
Yeah, I have a little split program by a guy named Gregor Gallagher who does a lot of really good stuff. I have a few different programs that I oscillate between depending on time, but his is pretty compact. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go crank it today.
I just got done with my class. It was about an hour long, and I forgot.
Jazzercise?
Yeah. Magic hands. No, today was what was today? It was a strength class, but it was a good mix of like core and upper body. I've been really doing a lot of core stuff lately, and
Need it.
I'm not really looking to lose any more pounds, but just more of continue to tone up. But I love a good exercise, especially in the morning. And you know what? When I was out there, and I completely forgot about this and told just now, but when I was out there in Wyoming with the Salado guys, Colby was telling me that him and Randy, the owners of Mint Billiards, were doing a 90 for 90, and it was 90 minutes a day for 90 days. And I told him I would jump on in that. Now that I think about it, I have not. So maybe I can try to do that. I like challenging myself, but 90 minutes of working out is tough, man, for sure.
It is.
All right, let's jump on into the action. Ray, are you out there? I mean, well, I know you're from Florida, but are you like at home?
I was up there early in the week. I got my win against a Hall of Famer and then came back down.
Who did you beat?
I beat Archer.
Okay. Well, he's been playing pretty good. We've been seeing him play pretty solid lately.
He's playing good. He went double hill with Jonas. He should have beat Jonas if Archer would have.
That's a good win. Legitimately, that's a good win. Or like at least a good, competing.
He was on the hill first, and then he was shooting double hill. He was shooting a 6-ball. He just happened to just twitch a 6-ball, and then Jonas got out. But if he would have beat Jonas, then I would have played Jonas on the 1-loss side and sent Jonas home too. So,
give me the player's perspective when it comes to conditions out there, Ray, and
yeah,
David's playing like, and the lighting's a little weird in there. from what I saw in photos.
I talked to Pat about it, and he said that basically the wiring for the table lights and the digital pool stuff is on the same panel that the house lights are on. So that's why.
Ah,
So if you try and dim the house lights and you dim the amperage that goes to the lights, and they start to strobe and they get weird. So
we
next
can't
year,
have that.
no, you can't have that. So it is what it is for this year, but um, next year they'll be able to probably dim it down and make it more like what we're used to at the international. As far
Yeah.
as the lighting goes, the space is beautiful. It's huge, tons of tables and availability for players to get practice in and stuff like that. Obviously, digital pool makes it fun because you can, you know, get access to your matches and watch anything as a spectator. So that's great. Um, and the conditions, I mean, it's 4.5-inch pockets on the outside. So, it's one of these scenarios where you're going to hurt a lot of feelings. You know what I mean? There's a lot of
Yeah.
players who are going to be dangerous. The diamond cue ball is a weird thing because it changes the dynamics of the break. If you were to put the diamond cue ball up, they did this at Derby last year as well.
That's what I was hearing. A friend of mine was telling me that there was like, I
If
don't
you
want to
take
say
the Aramis black
complaints.
ball, if you take the Aramis black cue ball with this what is same template, and you break your typical draw cut break, and you make the one on the side every time. If you hit the same break with the diamond ball, the one's going to go low of the side every time. And there's just like it's a different break altogether. So you there's like two schools of thought really on how to adjust. And so you're either like you saw Peaches is breaking from almost dead center, hitting it way thicker to try and stun the ball so he can hit the ball flat without spin to make it in the side. Yap is doing that too. And it's, more consistent maybe than trying to spin the ball in. But otherwise, it's a different break. So, a lot of people are going to have to learn a diamond ball break until they just use the Aramis ball. But
I like the comparison, and it's pretty interesting given the fact that PS the last time we saw him in a
Derby.
big semifinal was at the Derby, where they used the same ball, and how much does equipment play a factor? And I think like, listen, I've noticed that it's different, obviously different players in the Final Four than what we're used to seeing, right, per se. But like, I like the idea of like different, kind of like tennis, Ray, in the sense of like you got Wimbledon, right? You got the French with clay. You know what I mean? Like if there's a little subtle twist where it doesn't completely change the whole game, but players
Yeah.
have to adjust a little bit, then I'm kind of for that. Um, but again, I'm not the one spending my money to go out there and play against the world's best players. So it's all about finding that balance for sure.
It was tough. It was definitely tough at Derby. I know the first, like you saw Shane go out at Derby round 6 because for him to try and get the one on the side, he was smashing the break hard, trying to stun it up. But now his cue ball is moving a lot more than it's used to, and it's getting kissed and going, and you're just gambling. So like I saw that happening, and then I saw people taking other approaches, and I started just doing something else because I didn't want to risk. The one match that I lost early in the tournament was against Mora. I broke and scratched 3 times. And I was like, it's kind of unfortunate because I felt like I was playing good enough to win that match. But it was just like, that was how I was adapting, was trying to smash the ball in because I saw other people trying to do that. And then I was like, well, maybe there's something else. And then I heard a conversation. Alex was one of the first ones that was starting to spin the ball in and getting productivity, and the cue ball wasn't as volatile. So I was like, well, that might be more consistent. That's what I switched to. So it's just, you got to have kind of multiple tools in the tool belt and kind of have your plan. Obviously, PJ did really well at Derby. He got to the finals, and he's in the semifinals here. And going that near center of the table stun break is working for him. So he's
Well, I
got
mean,
a solution.
just from that standpoint, you kind of have to like them. And we're going to jump into the Final Four that are left here in just a minute. But I want to just pick up where me and Mike left off. Raymond, just kind of recapping some of the matches from yesterday. We talked about Moritz beating Carlo 10-5. Yap takes out Georgie 10-6. Niels, man, I want to get your thoughts on Niels. And I know me and Mike talked about him already, but he beats Filler 10-8. Give me your thoughts on how the Terminator's playing right now, Ray.
I mean, to me, it makes sense because he's been trending this way. I think he had a difficult UK Open. It was his first tournament, kind of switching into the 4-inch pocket, triple tight tables at Matchroom, and he was vocally, complaining about it because he didn't agree with the fact that, and I kind of agree with him. I think the march towards really super small pockets is good for certain things, but it also penalizes a lot of knowledge. Because the table starts to impose on you, this is how you have to play this position or this pattern. You know what I mean? It's less of like you're the author. You get to create what you want. It's more of like you have a much more narrow range of what you can do in this scenario. And so the table starts to impose itself on you a little bit. And I know people are about the ball striking, and that's all great, but there's other things that make the game beautiful. And so that kind of goes away. But Niels has been on the improvement trend since then. He had a really good European Open and has done really well in some European regional events, and had a deep run at the U.S. Open, and now he's again in the semifinals. So, I mean, the guy's a champion. You don't unlearn being a champion. Like
Well, it's like
he's
what you got to do when it comes time to,
yeah,
you talk about tools, but it's just like in those moments when you're in the trenches, it's like you got to be able to be on your toes and adapt. And I saw that late in that filler match where he tried to like force follow a ball and then he hit it a little bit more full than what he wanted to, and it almost ended up scratching and would have
I
been
thought he was supposed to
devastating.
draw that ball back. I thought he was supposed to draw that ball back to where it was, like by the side pocket, and
Yeah,
just take the cut on the 8, and you're good. That's it. He tried to get the pure plum, perfect
yeah.
stuff, and caught it a little full and almost scratched. And
But it's that adjusting that I love, Ray. And like
yeah,
on the note of the UK, I'll take that same approach when it comes, or the same opinion rather, when it comes to like conditions and being able to adapt. And again, I know it's not fair for you guys who want to try to like eliminate the variables as much as possible when it comes to like how you're training and and then more importantly, how you go and compete when it's time. But like
yeah,
those little subtle changes where you're not fundamentally changing the entire game, um, I'm all for. But I love seeing these guys kind of. I love seeing the mix of like the marquee Hollywood names with also getting these good stories like a Niels, like
yeah,
a PSN Moritz, guys like that where you can, and then of
yeah,
course a Yap, where it's a good balance throughout a season, because I don't want to see chalk every single time,
yeah. I mean, Niels is proving that you can win at this game at older levels, older age, if your preparation is better, right? So you can just tell that he's mentally locked in, and his preparation has been really strong. Like he was streaming, I think before he came to the States, he was matched up and sparring with Mickey. I know they've been sparring quite a bit over the last year. It's probably why Mickey's improved so much. And as a player who's like, I look at my own trajectory in my game, and I'm like, that's what I need, to get better, is to get proximal to somebody who's a tier one, who has tier one experience at that level for a long time, and just sharp, sharp, sharp. I mean, Yap did it. He went to Taiwan and chased down Chang Jun Lin when nobody would play him, and donated 21 sets before he finally won one, playing
Yeah.
$100 a set. And he says he learned so much from that experience that
Well,
all of a sudden, now Yap is Yap,
it's
So,
that old school mentality where it's like you got to get beat down in order to build yourself back up, right? Like you have
yeah,
to. You listen. Yap has had a lot of success over the years, but like it's about not plateauing and being able to find different levels to attain in your own personal career. And a guy like Mickey, when we talk about him, coming out of nowhere when it comes to last year versus this year, but like when it comes to consistency for this year, listen, that kid's been all over the place, getting his ass whooped by everybody and dancing with anybody in order
yeah,
to build up his game, and it's showing, like it's paying dividends. Taking that route because he's been in the Philippines playing. Like I said, he just came off of playing Niels. And this is just like him in the middle of playing big tournaments as
yeah,
far as the type of players that he's continuing to stay sharp with.
yeah.
Big,
And
big, big amount of respect for that.
I also have a ton of respect for Niels because he's showing that you can prioritize life and family and your role as a father and all the things that I'm doing in my own life as well. And it's like to show that you can do those things, have balance, have
Yeah.
pool in its place, and still go and be successful and compete with the best players in the world and be a threat to win a major tournament. Like, kudos to him for lighting the way. Like, it's showing that you
Well,
don't
I
have to
think
be
it's
powerful.
easier when in the second half of your career, because I feel like in the beginning, like you have to be very selfish to be elite.
Oh,
To be
of course,
to
of
be
course.
different, you have to like
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a ton of sacrifice. Now, when you have a guy like Shane's a good example of that, right? Where like he'll have more balance at this point of his life as well. But like that's after paying all of his dues, similar to
right.
me
He paid
was
his
whenever he
dues,
was younger in the basement.
100%, 100%. No, of course, you definitely have to sacrifice a lot. The game demands it if you're going to be able to go out there and execute every time, or be capable of it. So, but he's just showing that you can also, you can be smart about your prep. Obviously, he's super prepared and super locked in because he's responding to high pressure moments and not
For
folding.
sure.
He's holding up, and that just speaks to his pedigree and his class. Yap too. I mean, credit to Yap. He's just changed equipment. It's just like his first tournament playing with the
It
Universal,
is. At least that I remember, because I think he was playing.
and
I think he was still with Mez at the Reyes, which was
yeah,
like a month ago.
right. So this is his first tournament playing with a new Q, and against Georgie, he was up 8-3, shooting 1,000 TPA.
Had missed the ball, huh? Perfect
Hadn't
set.
missed the ball, yeah, to that point, and then he ended up like shooting like a 950, a 967, or something like that.
Yeah,
So obviously
he's a
playing,
bum, huh? No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
obviously he's playing pretty okay.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. That's all
I
right,
would
I guess.
say I would say there was a little bit of humidity coming into the tables, where the rails were all playing fine, but the facings of the pockets were, you had to be careful. If you really try and like power whap a ball in, it'll spit a ball out on you. So you had to be mindful of that. Even though we're playing with 4.5-inch pockets, like, it's still Florida. There's still some humidity coming into the room, and
I love the way that Yap hits the ball, man. I feel like he can open up a pocket so much with
yeah.
with the way that he strikes the object ball, and I noticed that a lot watching him
Mm.
play, man. And like a lot of those Taiwanese players hit the ball similarly.
Him and Ko Pinyi
Yep.
also, they really try and optimize the finesse of the stroke to get the ball and make the pocket as big as possible for themselves. So,
Well, let's jump on into the final four, Ray, and we'll kind of go through some of these players here. If I can get my damn screen to work all right here. All right, we got Moritz versus PS. That's the first matchup on deck. I think it starts in a little bit over 2 hours from now. You guys can check that out at the International Open pay-per-view. I want to get your thoughts and more importantly your pick on this match, Ray.
I think Moritz is going to go into this match with the hair advantage. I mean, the guy needs to be on the next Men's Health cover because he's just, an attractive young man. I call him the Schnitzel King of West Germany. Um, great player.
I don't know if that'll be good for his pool game, Ray. We all know about pool players
No.
having a girlfriend, So
I wonder what's been going on with him, because he had such a strong end of the year last year, and then it's kind of been quiet, really. For
that's a good word, quiet. Yep.
talent
By his standards.
Yeah, as talented as he is, we haven't really seen very much of him. Pius has been knocking. Obviously, he got to the finals of the Derby, crazy grind, and he's been, threatening quite a bit, but just, getting beat in certain spots, in big tournaments. I feel like P just might have a slight advantage here, just because I feel like overall he's had a better year. But I mean, Moritz is a class player. He's sponsored by Q-Tech. Pius, very close with Johan, has been working hard in his game all year and working closely with Johan. So it'll be interesting to see how that match goes out. I think that, these are two young guns who are kind of vying for position. And then, Moritz has an opportunity to be the next big German name on the World 9-Ball Tour. There's kind of a,
you can argue he already is,
a vacancy. There's a vacancy there now, right, for Team Germany, as far as representation goes. And the kid is a class act and very humble. They're both sweethearts, you know what I mean? So it's like you just get your popcorn and watch, just enjoy a good match.
Well, they're both great kids for sure, and with a ton of talent and an awesome game to
I feel like
on.
I feel like between the two of them, Moritz might be more talented. I think he's just got more. He's got a bit more like cleanliness to his technique. Everything just looks more natural for him. But Pijus, Pijus is a pit bull. Derby was really, really impressed by him. You know what I mean? And how tenacious he was. And I'm definitely, I love that kind of player, just a relentless guy, who's gonna keep going at it, keep clawing and keep fighting. And I think Peaches has kind of paid his dues this year. He's due for a big final again. So I think Peaches is gonna edge it out maybe. But I think there's a lot of upside for Moritz. I know Moritz is like pancakes guy.
For sure. Big shout out to Pancake because he's. I remember going out to dinner with them with that whole team out at the U.S. Open, including like Josh and I think it was Pius and my man Frank, who I love Frank, man. He's awesome. But including Moritz and Pius, like I mentioned. But you know what? Like it's interesting when it comes to changing equipment and what we talked about earlier with the app, because the same could have been said for Pius. We saw him basically through the first 3 months of the year. You would have thought he's, I don't want to say a heavy favorite, but you certainly like his chances to make the European Moscone Cup team. And then he switches equipment. He kind of disappeared for the last 6 months, but now here he is again, Ray, showing up in another semifinal. It's interesting you give the edge to Moritz because given the conditions, me thinking that he's a little bit more comfortable now after 6 months, Peace coming off some great wins, as is Moritz. I think it's about as close to even money as you can ask for when it comes to a betting standpoint with these two.
Yeah, I think between those two, it's basically a coin flip. I kind of I expect Peaches is going to win that match, but it's going to be very close. But it's just it's just one of those. If you're a fan, you're going to enjoy good pool. This is a good match to watch.
Oh, I'm going to be sweating it for sure. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know in the chat who you guys like to win between Moritz and Pius. You know what? Like, if I'm going to bet a little bit of money, which I probably end up will doing on this match, I know I just gave an argument for Pius. Man, you know what? I might have to stick with him. And it's no knock on Moritz. I just think that experience from last year is going to pay dividends. And this is a different kind of final than what like Moritz has been in before. This is a major event, I feel like. And so, but either way, listen, I like these two kids. They're great. They got a lot of promise and a bright future. But across the pond over there, you got Yap and Niels, and I think a lot of people would probably favor them, whoever comes through in that finals versus either one of them, unless you see like a great performance. But let's talk about that second matchup, Ray. You got the MVP of the Reyes Cup in Aloysius Yap versus the timeless guy that Niels is. Who do you like there?
Yeah, this feels like this is the match of the technical players, right? Like the more technique, more balanced kind of style of players. I think Yap might be the most balanced player that I've seen in the last couple of years, where he balances between offense and defense so well. And I mean, playing unbelievable pool. I mean, I'm telling you, he was up 8-3 against Georgie, and Georgie's had an unbelievable tournament.
Definitely.
And was shooting 1,000. But Niels is just
great last 6 months. It has Georgie had,
Yeah. Georgie's been really stepping it up. He's one of those guys that I feel like has clicked into the next level for himself. And he's kind of like starting to declare himself really as a valid option in the European kind of like tapestry.
Fair.
But Niels has been so impressive mentally. He's just been very, very focused, very locked in. I feel like he's got his process down, and I'd like to see Niels, I think, pull this one out just for himself and just to continue his great form. And I think he's had the hardest draw too. He beat Filler and Federer.
Big wins right now.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back. I mean, 2 of the guys that you probably would have picked to come out of the bottom part of the bracket. And
it wasn't even close. Like we were all hoping for that matchup, And so for him to take out both those monsters. I mean, listen, if you were to rank the top 3 players, you're picking Federer, Filler, and Shane. Right now. One and in any order, right? You can substitute whoever. Probably Federer number 1, but for Niels to come up with those 2 wins in this spot, just shows how sharp he is right now in his game. It's a great story, Ray.
Yeah, no, I think Niels is setting himself up to have a pretty unbelievable tournament win, where you kind of have to pick. You have to kind of assume that the guy who wins the match between Niels and Yap is going to be the favorite in the final.
For sure.
And it's almost
no disrespect to Moritz and Pius, but I think
no. But I mean, they're proving themselves, and the guys that Niels is beating have already proved themselves. So, like, if Niels beats Yap, he would have beaten 3 of the top 10 tier 1 players in the world, you know, in succession to make a finals. And he would have the experience advantage over the other two younger Europeans. You'd have to pin him as a favorite. So I
It
like
kind of reminds me of that run that Shane had in the World Championship, where like he exercised a lot of those demons who had whooped his ass in World Championships before, like Albin and Chang and, Kazakis along with his run, along with Kopinyi. But like at the time, these were all guys who were not just on the rise, but, pretty consistent at the top of the mountain for a good while were all those guys. And so for Niels, again, we know his pedigree, we know his history, but it was just that up until the last 6 months. It was more like history, and now he's showing that he's still very much a threat in the present. You can't help but root for him. But Yap is by no means a quitter, and he's got all the tools from a great safety play to a great finesse break. I love seeing him at the Reyes Cup because he came with some big shots, and the last impression that I have of Yap was watching him just pick apart Francisco to win that event. And
he's a monster.
I watched him. He was not going to be stopped by anybody. Put Josh in there, he wasn't going to stop Yap in that match.
I watched him play FSR, some cheap sets last year at the International. Yap played FSR, and they were playing like $100 sets, and Yap just crushed him. He's just like ran him over, and it's just like the kid is just so clean, and he's learned how to really like take control of his game and really get to his spots, And now he's a beautiful player to watch. It's hard to pick against that guy. He's probably the most consistent right now of the four left, and that's saying something for sure. But
so is that who you're picking between those four? Moritz, Pius, Niels, and Yap?
I think the winner of Yap and Niels is going to win the tournament.
No. We ain't going to play that game, Ray.
I need a sentimental
solid pick.
I have a sentimental pick. I would like Niels to win the match against Yap.
So it's the old heart versus the head battle.
That's right. Versus the old eye test,
We all know what the old eye test is good for, buddy, over here on this show.
So it's tough to like if you were to, do you want to put your money against a guy who just shot 1,000 through 11 games on the TV table? You have to have a bigger heart than me.
I get it, but like it's such a great story, and he beat Federer and Filler. I mean, like it doesn't get any better than that.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is like if he wins against Yap, this would be like you have to put this up there as one of his like big wins, in his career, because it's like you're playing against the new era of contemporaries, and you're just killing every like titan that you can't just cleaving them out. So
I know, like it's not as deep as like Hanoi or another Asian event. And it's solid.
I will say that we're like a week away from the Moscone Cup. And I'm not supposed to be like a European sympathizer this week, okay? But
hold on, I want to pause you right there because I want to get your Moscone Cup opinion here in a little bit because I know you're Mr. USA over there. But go ahead. Right.
But Niels is such a nice guy that I don't have a problem with supporting him. Okay, that's how great I'm willing to like put it aside.
Okay.
Now, if he was on Team Europe, I'd be bashing him. But for now, since he's not, and the team is set, and he's not a part of it. I'm happy to support him. I'll go with the heart this time and pick Niels. But I kind of like Yapton.
Look, I love a great story, and I'm going with Niels also in that matchup. The head tells me, of course, all those things that you just echoed, right? Like, how he's playing lately, him being a top 10 player. But then I think about the other side of the argument is, like I said, Niels beats Federer, Niels beats Filler, but has he peaked too early in this tournament? You know what I mean? Because you still got one more day left. Now, had it been yesterday, maybe it would have been a different ending. We don't know. We'll see a little later on. I wouldn't be surprised if Yap wins, obviously, just given how he's been playing the last few months, or really the last like 45 days, going back to Hanoi and, of course, the Reyes Cup. I think like he had a little bit of cracks in his armor when it comes to being able to finish. And I know he's won Predator events and things like that, but like he can show his nerve at times where like what I saw out there in Manila just showed another step in that guy's already great game, and I think that he can handle nerves and pressure. Niels is showing that he's a great player still, but man, yeah, you never know. Flip the coin. I'm gonna be excited to watch. I think it's like at 5:30 will be that matchup. But either way, I'm with you in that I like the winner out of that match to win the entire tournament. I'd love to see these young kids, like Moritz and Pius, come out with the big one. In Pius's case, exercise some demons from the Derby. Moritz win a major, but it's going to be tough because those other two dudes are through and through just amazing players.
Nasty.
Yeah, yeah,
player.
yeah.
It's
all right, Ray.
Motivating. Yep.
I want to get you out of here on talking a little Moscone Cup because I know you're Mr. Rah 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 USA, big time homer, very very eloquent and sharp and witty. That's why I love having you on the show, Ray. But give me the argument here as to why the red, white, and blue are going to win in a week from now.
I think I've got the case made for myself that I think I like USA winning 11-7, 11-7, 11-8. I think Europe might be competitive, but there's a few things that I think
Europe might be competitive. Europe might be
because they didn't show up in Asia. This European team did not show up in Asia, and so we can only look at.
I got news for you. The Asians, I mean, the Americans are not the Asian team either, buddy. I hate to burst your bubble here.
I totally get it, but the Asian crowd is not going to be the Moscone Cup crowd either. So they're going to have to fade. They're going to have to fade some pressure that they haven't ever felt with together as a team. And Team Europe is missing the two biggest stopgaps that they've had over the last 10 years in Filler and Albon. I think we underestimate how steadying of a force it can be to have two tier 1 players on your roster who are going to carry you, and then you guys
got pocket aces up your sleeve with those two
every
dudes.
time with those two guys. And Albon's a great team guy where he just kind of no ego, will just slot in, do what he needs to, slot out. He doesn't have to be the main guy, but he's gonna carry the main guy hammer. And Josh is just gross, where
I think they're great at singles or great at doubles. You can pair them up with anyone, and they're gonna and they're gonna be the sail on that ship, man.
And Josh not being on the team, I think, is a negative for Team Europe, and it's a positive for Shane, which is a huge net positive for Team USA, because Shane does not have to think about ducking that guy or whatever you want to say, because now Shane matches up better with everybody else on Team Europe's roster. He's not going to really sweat.
I gotta give you that argument for sure.
And so if Shane is locked in and positive and not having to fade whatever demons he has with Josh, then you're likely to see a more cohesive team. I think Federer is going to continue to execute and play well. He's a year removed from his equipment switch, and so that's not a factor at this Moscone Cup. Sky tends to play tremendous.
But Federer, after the U.S. Open, we ain't really seen Federer play to Federer standards either, Ray.
He's a world champion. He's a world 9-ball champion. He can take his break and pick his spots. He doesn't have to. He's gonna gear up for this, and I think Tyler's playing the best pool of his life, which is great. And then you have a team guy in Billy Thorpe, who obviously the captain wants him there and gels well with the rest of the team. He's got enough scooter rides in with the rest of the team between Hanoi and here that I think he's gotten the bonding time in, and I think they're all going to perform well together. Between you and me and everybody else watching, I've already sent Skylar and Tyler the lineup, the roster. I ran it through the algorithm. And
who do you got, Ray? Who do you got?
I'm not going to tell you what my three.
We have a show where we just go through? We're going to break down Ray's lineup for the Moscone Cup for the Americans.
I have it written down. We can always compare with what they actually do and see whether
But we got to have a show to reference, though, Ray. You can't do it after the fact, because
I understand. If I give you the first 3 days here, then I'm giving Jason ammunition, and I'm not going to give Jason no ammunition.
Look, let me tell you, Jason knows strategy more than almost anybody on earth when it comes to how to plan your horses. And I know you don't got Albon in your back pocket anymore, and I know you don't got Filler in your back pocket anymore, but you got experience.
How did that work out for him in Manila? Did that help him out? In Manila, he won a third of the team's points the last day.
Well, but hold on a minute, because it was number one to what your point earlier. It was a completely different crowd and environment, and number two, I think they kind of took it as this like inaugural type event where it wasn't too serious. It was very laid back. Everyone was basically on fumes coming into the event, and I know the Asians stepped up, but they did what we thought they would do. They were who we thought they would be
Yeah. Yeah.
the entire time before we even talked about this event blossoming into what it will be in the next few years. But look, I hear all those points, and you make a lot of good ones. I think that, like all the years, Shane is going to be a big piece of that puzzle for sure. I like the youth of the American team, and the fact that that big bad man and Josh Feller isn't going to be on the other side, but there's still listen. There's no from when it comes to top players, the Americans got it, but when it comes to 5 versus 5, it's tough to argue given how I've seen a lot of these guys play all year long betting against the Europeans, you know, and they still
Listen,
are
this is
the
Team
guys who have
Europe's
dominated.
this is opportunity for Team Europe to prove that they can beat Team USA with 6 rosters. We've heard this for years. Oh, we can beat you guys with 6, 7 different lineups. Team USA can only field 1 or 2. Okay, go put up your other roster. Prove to me that your roster number 4 or 5 or 6 or whoever is going to go beat Team
Well,
USA.
it's their B team for sure, but I wouldn't go as far as saying it's like the 5th or 6th best team when it comes to the Europeans. I'll tell you this. Look,
Great
we
players.
got no, for sure, for sure. Listen, the USA is in the best position they've been in years.
Yeah.
And it's not even close, just because of how everything has kind of shifted over the last like 30 days. But talking with the Europeans at the end of the Reyes Cup, and I know they went into it very lackadaisical and just, you know what I mean, like real chilling, and we're gonna put it in Cadillac mode and all this, right?
If they want to habitualize losing, I support their endeavors.
Oh my God, here we go. Well, but those guys got a lot of pride as well, and they didn't take too kindly to getting basically embarrassed
Roasted?
out there on that stage. Yeah.
Of course,
Especially
nobody
given how much that they do this every year. You know what I mean? Run the mouth. Those guys, I can guarantee you, are going to be training, just knowing them. And I don't got any inside information. I reached out to Matcham to be able to get Jay on the show for next week, so hopefully we can get that and kind of get a little bit of insight. But those guys know how to buckle down. They know when it's time to enjoy it. They know when it's time to grind. They don't like losing to the Americans, and they hear all the talk just like everybody else. It's a more competitive team versus team matchup this year, but it's still the Europeans, man. It's still Team Europe.
Here's my eye test with Team Europe. Team Europe even with Josh and Albin, I've seen them be very weak in moments in the Moscone Cup over the last few years. And I've been frustrated with Team USA not executing in certain spots to really put the lamp light on that weakness and allow them to get back settled. And then they ride their horses who show up strong, Josh and Albin, let's say, and then the momentum swings the other way, and then things go into coin flip land. I mean, Chris Reinhold had a 6 ball with JJ the year JJ had to step in to go up 6-3 or 7-3 or crazy ball. But like, I saw cracks in the armor then. I saw cracks in the armor 2 years ago, and we allowed things to kind of slip away because of other situations and parts of the show that I feel like Team USA has been kind of like in this like kind of tumbler of like circus act kind of stuff, with the whole.
Well, you can break them, Ray. We've seen that over the years. The Americans can check out.
Yeah,
let's just call a spade a spade.
No, and totally, I see that. But when it comes to Team Europe now, I feel like not having Josh and Albin is going to be monumental because it's gonna put a lot of pressure on a couple key guys. I've yet to see a Team Europe with Kachi on it where there is cohesiveness across the 5 players because of Kachi's personality. So to me, as great as Kachi is as an individual player, I view him a little bit as like a teamwork stopper. So, that I think if I'm Jason, my priority is trying to figure that out, and this year I have to figure that out with a rookie coming in, with Mickey Krause coming in for his first Moscone Cup. And
we saw what Jason was trying to coddle Mickey a little bit too much, at least in my opinion, and trying to like over micromanage that kid when it comes to that stage.
Yeah. So I think those little things, they don't have time, I don't think, to iron those things out because of the schedule. Like they haven't had like 2 weeks worth of a boot camp
Well,
to
all
get
10 players are out now. They all got all time in the
right.
world to kind of gel
But,
together. And
like we're talking about, you have a week. You understand? Like you're not going to finesse and refine all these intangibles under the highest pressure and then go out in front of a Moscone Cup crowd and have it all put together. So I think there's opportunity, major opportunity for them to be very vulnerable. And if Team USA continues to do what they do, and now they're in a roster situation where there's more team matches, and they've won the team match every year basically, except maybe for last year, but we were in a controlling position. They do really well in the team match, and now you're adding 2 more team matches. Like I think the pressure's on Europe to prove something, because I think USA is going to go out there with less pressure and the hometown advantage. I think it stacks up really well for Team USA.
that doesn't make any sense. How is it less pressure with the
Because you're telling
crowd?
me that Team Europe is like they're the favorite. Okay, so now the pressure's on them to go win. If I'm supposed to lose, right? I'm supposed to lose to Josh Filler. So what's going to happen? Mike's
Well, no,
going to go to
because
his room
you got
and go to bed.
the
Mike's
second
gonna go to
coming
his
of
room,
Christ and
go to bed.
Federer
It's
coming in and
chalk.
saving the day.
Yeah, okay. Well, my point is like for them, obviously they have hometown pride. They want to perform well in front of their audience. I see that. But I feel like if everybody's just assuming Team Europe's going to win, like why would you put extra pressure on yourself? You're like, if you start coming up, I think they're going to be in position again to go up 6-3. Like they're going to have this opportunity to go up there, and I think this year they're going to go execute. That's just my opinion.
I don't think that the expectation. I'm saying that, but listen, I couldn't even pick 4 guys out of the last 16 to make it into the finals.
Okay,
So what
who
the hell
do you
do I
think
know?
right now on Team Europe are your top 2 players for Team Europe?
David is one of them, and the other one I would put Jay. Jay looked good in Manila. Jay was a question mark coming into
Right.
just I didn't like him being I like him being a part of the show. I had a lot of question marks back in March about whether or not he'd be able to, hold steady. He was great in Hanoi as well. He lost a heartbreaking match to Copigny in that tournament. He's showing obviously that form right now is great. We know he's the guy who's going to kind of take on the heat when it comes to that show. He's going to be this team's filler. And so I would put like right now, I would compare David to being this team's Albin, and Jason would be this team's filler, and so, but it's still not filler.
So
You're
which
still,
one of
you're,
those
you're
two
still
guys?
not
Which one of those 2 guys do you like over Federer?
Look, I know
Which
who
one of
Federer.
those 2 guys you like? Which one of those 2 guys you like over Shane?
I like Jay over Shane. I would like that matchup over Shane. It's close to even money. He's not Josh, but he can go and get there to 5. I promise you that.
Okay,
He can
in
get
the
there to 5
Moscone
against
Cup,
Shane.
I think the only guy you have that matches up like close even to Sky is going to be maybe one of those 2 guys. But Sky's played unbelievable.
How many points did Federer give you last year in the Moscone Cup, Ray? I don't know if I remember that.
Federer had just changed equipment a week before the event.
How did he look like when in that no crowd Moscone Cup?
He's the current world champion. What are you talking about? He's the current world champion.
But we talk about how different that stage is, though. It's completely
all the other
different
guys
environment.
were in the world tournament, and Federer won. He had time to adjust. I think it was an error on Federer. If
There
I
was
his
3
teammate,
people in the crowd there, Ray.
If I was his teammate, I would have told him, "Do not come here and play without your Q-Tech stuff." I don't know what happened with him and Q-Tech, why they soured.
Well,
I thought it was suicidal to go to the Moscone Cup.
I know he had that Propel jump cue in that final of the U.S. Open. I know that because I remember I was there in the crowd watching that, and that helped him win that tournament pretty easily.
We have both U.S. Open finalists. We have both U.S. Open finalists in our team. We have the world champion in our team. We have the European Open semifinalists, 2 of them in our team. I'm just saying, Team USA, if they could ask for a better scenario, it's hard to imagine.Maybe if 1988,
the scenario sets itself good. I cannot argue that.
1988 Buddy Hall was available for a wild card, maybe a little bit better than what we're at right now. So I feel very encouraged. I love the team is together.
This debate, Ray. I love this talk. This is the fun part of this year. We're a week away from like the Super Bowl of the pool world. Are you going to be out there? By the way,
of course, I'll be there Friday for the banquet. I'm helping Pinozo out recording it, so it looks good for Shane's Hall of Fame induction and for Pinozo's induction. And then I'll be there all 4 days for the Moscone. So
Mike said the Hall of Fame banquet, by the way, you guys starts at 6:30. I think the doors open up at 5:30, and I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he told me that. So yeah, I can't wait to go out there. So we're gonna have a lot more Moscone Cup talk. I asked Pinoza to see if we can get Sky on. I'll probably reach out to him and see if we can get him on in the next few days as well.
They're busy eating Tyler's ribeyes right now. So.
I saw that with Scott's stories. So
right.
Look, Shane has been training. I know he's been kind of working on his diet, and he looks a lot more in shape. He did. Great. He looks really good right now. Look, the Moscone Cup is a different animal, and you've got guys on both. Well, on the American team with the edge when it comes to experience. I think the Europeans are a little more tested when it comes to tournament play. Mm-hmm. The pressure is going to be completely amped up and ratcheted up for this tournament.
For whatever reason, at Francisco's had unbelievable, couple years, but he looked kind of vulnerable to me in Manila, and I'll be interested to see how he works. Like I think I look at the synergies of the doubles pairs, and I just like the synergies in the doubles for Team USA. Our problem is we just got to go up there and win singles matches. You know what I mean? I think if we do that, and the guys continue to kind of trend in the right direction. I saw Billy come with a couple, tough come from behind wins this weekend against a good Florida player and Anthony McLino, who had him stuck. And he came back and won, obviously. But it'll be interesting to see how Billy plays, and he'll have his role as the emotional gel for the team. So that'll be a question mark for us, and see how he performs. But I think Billy has really good upside potential for big moments. He tends to come up for them. So you really just need one or 2 points from Billy, and that will justify his pick. He'll take the heat off of Sky for sure. And I think Sky just has been our best player the last 5 years. So we'll see.
He's Mr. Reliable, but I think that the pressure is going to be different for him being in this role as the captain, and for sure more responsibility. I think, listen,
you got the first 3 days. I'm like, look, man, you can do whatever you want your fourth day, but here's what I suggest. Here you go.
Listen. I went with the idea of throwing Billy out there early in that tournament just to kind of get his feet wet and rip that Band-Aid right off right away. Let him either be the spark plug, or on the flip side, have upside with your monsters coming up from behind, where even if you don't win, it's still going to be all good, because you're going to have Federer, Shane, and Sky waiting for you.
Yep.
I have not seen Ray's lineup yet, but
I'll send it to you if you promise not to share with anybody that could.
I can't make that kind of commitment. I just can't do it. I can't lie. I'm not.
It can't go to any Europeans. It can't go to any Europeans. I'll send it to you, but it can't go to any Europeans.
Nobody watches this show or watches the page anyway, Ray. So
Emily's watching right now. Emily, hi Emily, pleasure to see you.
Is she watching right now?
I guarantee you she's gonna be watching. She watches everything.
I'm sure
she sees everything, man.
Oh, believe me, I get messages all the time when it's just like,
don't you think she was happy? Don't you think she was happy Niels won that match against Federer? Don't you think she was happy? She was probably happy that.
Oh yeah, she was fucking thrilled, no doubt about 100%, 100%.
She's like, Niels, just getting. Here's your cash advance for your tour card next season, pal.
Yeah, fucking right. I know. She was clapping her away. No, look, I can't wait. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to be doing more shows, Ray. Hopefully you can come back on and join us again ahead of the Moscone Cup. Like I said, I got plans to reach out to a lot of guys next week, and even over the weekend. The International Open finishes up. The 9-ball finishes up today, and then what happens for the weekend? Because we still got a couple more days left.
The Bigfoot 10-ball and the straight pool is coming up too. Bigfoot 10-ball and straight pool is coming up. So.
I love some Bigfoot. It's a really unique and fun event. Straight pool is fun, but it's more die hard than anything else.
I'll have my cameras with me too, by the way. I live just 20 minutes up the road from Moscone Cup. So if you want a little extra sauce from behind the scenes stuff, you let me know.
Oh, for sure. I need all the help I can get, man. This this one man band. I'm playing the harmonica and playing drums with my knees and everything and anything, you know. So it's the Moscone Cup. Even though like there's been a lot of talking points and a different team and different this and different that. From a competitive standpoint, I think it's about as close to even as you can ask for, just given how dominating the European talent pool is compared to the American ones, like how overwhelming it is. There's a lot of question marks, I feel like, on both sides, and we got a week away to find out the answers, you know. So, Ray, I look forward to seeing you out there. I look forward to having more shows with you. We're going to have another debate, and if you're open to it, I'd love to have Ray's picks on the show and do a little dissection of that and kind of talk the pluses and minuses of that strategy, you know. But that's up to you, buddy.
I should probably do a roster for Team Europe too, just to
be fair.
Yeah, just to be. I don't know.
Well, they kind of already put their cards out there now with the Reyes Cup on that point, you know. Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, Ray, I need you to come up with a trivia question on the spot because we got to give away another slot. I think Jenny Ann's got one. I forgot who won the first show one, but we got to give away this Hanoi Open one. Hanoi Open signed shirt signed by all the players in the final 16 and a few Mar boys. Not all of them, but most of them. Can you come up with the trivia question for the guys who are still left here watching?
Who's got the most MVPs for Team Europe?
You gave that away in the chat earlier. I saw that.
Maybe they were paying attention. Maybe they weren't.
All right, first answer. Come on, you guys. Who has the most MVPs for Team Europe? Man, this better be a quick answer because Ray had posted it earlier while Penozo was in, and I paid attention to that one. Let's see if any comments are coming in. Maybe everyone dipped out already. Who knows? It's a live show, by the way, you guys. So a little bit of help goes a long way. Bill says Niels. That's the winner. That's the winner right there. So, Bill, you're in the mix for the Hanoi Open signed shirt. Big shout out to all of our sponsors who are helping put on the coverage throughout the Moscone Cup and through the end of the year. We got Q and Case, Dr. V's Custom Shop, Michelle Griffin, and of course Q-Tech, along with all of our other podcast sponsors who are awesome. Moonlight and Billiards, who are OGs, Championship Billiard Cloth. It was Neil's, by the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure because Ralph is a wrench in there that I didn't account for. Anyhow, I
think he's got.
We will be. Yeah. If you're available tomorrow, Ray, I'd love to have you back on and talk the day that was the International Open and also talk Bigfoot. So the invitation is there, buddy, if you got some availability. So
sounds good.
Anyway, enjoy the workout. Hope you guys enjoy the action later on today. And yeah,